Porter, I asked Trey and Sam kind of the same thing, but through the first 13 games of the season, what stood out to you just about this team, and does it feel like maybe the defense is becoming the identity for this team?
Yeah, what stands out is there's a push with these guys to get better. There's a push to these guys to defend, and on all aspects, I think that these guys they play hard. We're getting our athleticism into the game, but there's this mentality of a push to get better, and that's what you're going to need in this league. There's going to be ups and downs in this journey, and you just got to be pushing to get better, learn from what doesn't go your way, but you know, the things that I've learned from this team is that, you know, the things we set out to be, longer and more athletic, to impact the game is moving in that right direction. I think defensively we're better. I just think we cover more ground. We can do some different things. I think offensively we're playing at a much higher pace. So, you know, and they have, and also I'll be honest, no matter who our opponent is, I think we've come out ready to play every game. You know, didn't always play great, but you never said, oh, they took it politely or they didn't come out ready to play. We've been ready to play and played hard for 13 games. And that's what I love about this group.
You feel like you're finding a rhythm again. You had Carolina, week off, and then another week off. Things feel like they're getting back to normal.
Yeah, you know, you're getting your legs back. You know, you're getting your Christmas slough off. You know, I do. I think the Monmouth game we played more like we can play. And with that said, I still feel like that. I think we've had great practices. So to answer your question, yes, there's unequivocally a little bit of coming off from Christmas. Anytime you take 5 days off, there's no other point in the season where you take 5 days off. It won't happen again, and it's just different.
We'll talk about Iowa State's defense here in a second, but offensively, what do you see from them as far as being able to attack you guys?
Pace. They run they cut and they run their offense at an unprecedented pace. They have phenomenal. It's incredible because that's what you do when you talk about Iowa State. You talk about how hard they play, they force turnovers, how good defensively, how well coached, connected they are defensively. And so those are all things you say about Iowa State, and they're true as ever with this year's team. Number 2 in all those categories. But the thing that when you watch Iowa State is they run their offense with a phenomenal pace. They cut, they move, they share, they drive, they pass at a high. You have to be ready for the pace in which they run their offense.
Well, because you're playing pace, aren't you better ready to play a team like that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that. So the pace is not only in transition with them. The pace is on the half-court offense. I mean, they're cutting, they're going side to side to side to side. I mean, they're cutting with tremendous pace. And you've got to be ready to stay fresh to guard that because they're very good. I mean, they have 2 guys averaging 6 assists. That's phenomenal. When you got 2 guys averaging that many assists, that means they're sharing it, moving it. I mean, you've got to stay fresh, guarding their pace.
They also look like they're balanced in scoring, Porter.
They are
4 guys in double figures. So,
I mean, Lipsy is one of the top improved players in the nation, not just the Big 12. You know, Gilbert gives you 15 a game. You know, I have Milan, the freshman, can really shoot, but he also can drive and post you up. He's got that Dirk move where he can jump over you. He's got tremendous space when he gets that move going. I know they call him Rob Energy. He's one of my favorite players just because he brings what he brings every single night. They're big. They got, you know, Jones, the transfer from Buffalo, is a very good player. You know, they come at you at a lot of different ways to score, and I think that's part of it. They have no problem sharing the ball. They share it as good as anybody.
You mentioned the things that you've learned about this team, but is there anything that's surprised you about this team so far this year, given how many new faces?
I wouldn't say surprised, no. This is what we expected when we recruited to this, and this is what our standards have been to this. So so nothing's really surprised me. No, we've got to get better, and but I really enjoy how hard these guys are practicing every day to get better.
Success successfully recruited a roster that's panned out to have the length, the athleticism that you wanted to add. How much better does that equip you guys to go into Big 12 play, where it's got to be what that was at least partially about?
It is. I mean, when you're playing, 18 or 19 of these games in a row at the highest level, night in, night out, you've got to have some athleticism and length to compete against that night in, night out. You're going to get some wins, like we did some good things over, but like to do it every night, you need more athleticism, more length to do what you do. I'm not changing what we do. We still are fundamentally doing what we do defensively. We still are trying to do space. What I love is we're doing a little bit more pace in space. What I love is we're getting a little more length in what we do defensively. So I just think it's better, it equips us to go into the #1 basketball league in the country, 19 games in a row, kind of the conference tournament, minimum. You got to do this 19 games in a row of the highest level. It wears on you if you're out athletic and out length every single night. And I think we've shrunk that gap.
You talked a lot after the North Carolina game about you play an elite defensive team, you have to keep the ball moving. Not that you don't want that every week, but do you reemphasize that a lot going into facing an elite defensive team like this?
But we got to take care of the thing. The lesson we can't have that game go in vain, that loss go in vain, is we had 18 turnovers. We had 18 turnovers and it was 2-possession game, 2 minutes left to go. I mean, do the math. I mean, we're upward top 30 offense efficiency teams. We're scoring over 1 point per possession. So you cut off, 6 or 7 of those turnovers. Now instead of 2 minutes, you're up. If we're analytically doing what we're doing. So that is such a key. That game of North Carolina, that lessons learned for the turnovers and not taking care of it, going too deep and having them dig and rake. Now we're playing the team that does that the best. I don't know if there's a team in the country that takes turnovers and scores and forces you to turn over better than Iowa State. That's what they do. They turn you over and turn it into baskets. And we're going to have some, but we got to learn from that game from Carolina.
What is that balance maybe with the pace that you want to play, knowing that, turnovers can go up the faster you play, but also, wanting to
value
be
the ball,
intentional.
strong. You got to eliminate the ones that are out of carelessness, being too sped up. There's Coach Majerus, I think you've heard me quote this, there's turnovers out of commission. I mean, you're really trying to do the right thing, man. It's the right play, you just turn it over. All right, and then there's turnovers out of omission. You omit your toughness, you omit your IQ, you omit your fundamentals. Those are the ones you got to omit. But we're going to have one. We go on a fast break, we throw it ahead. I mean, it goes off the guy's hands, and we were trying to make the right play. There's a difference between the turnover we had at the end of the Monmouth game where we just soft and bobbled it and it got stolen and they hit a 3. We got to have, if we're going to have turnovers, they got to be a commission. Trying to make the right play, not omitting our fundamentals, our toughness, or our IQ.
Porter, you're an older team now. Do you think that's going to help a lot?
Heck yeah. Yeah, I do. We got guys coming off the bench that's been at high major levels that have played in front of big crowds, that have played with stakes. So sometimes when you come off the bench and you're super, super young and inexperienced, but our guys off the bench, and then you look at the guys that are in the first 8. I mean, Tega and Los went through this last year. Sam went through it last year. And, Jalen Moore went through the ACC, and Javion has been terrific. So, the experience does definitely help. It definitely helps. But I will say this about it isn't the end-all answer, because the bottom line is there's nothing like going through the grind we're about to go through. It's the best of the best every single night, and you've got to be ready every single night.
Sam talked about 1 through 8, kind of everybody's accepted their role on this team, how that's kind of helped with the chemistry and everything. How does Jalen fit into that?
What Jalen's done is Jalen's done a great job of getting better at who he is. We talked a couple times that North Carolina tried to do a couple things and he was going too deep. Next couple games, last game, he stopped before the plug, kicked it. That's growth. Jalen's really accepted coaching, and he's let the game come to him. And this is such a lesson for anybody at any level. When your mind's right, your game's right. Jalen has kept his mind right. There's times where He's been frustrated. There's times we've got on him, and if you look at his body language, if you look at his energy level, it's always high. So it's, we have this quote, and the guys will know, they've heard it. How you think is how you feel. How you feel is how you act, and how you act defines you. And it starts at how you think. And Jalen's got this positive energy. Whether you're on him and trying to correct him, he's like, okay, I'm trying to address that. I'm trying to get better at that. That's how he thinks. And that's how he feels. When you sit there and think, man, coach is on me, coach is criticizing me, doesn't think I can do this, that's how I feel. And when I'm feeling that way, I'm walking around feeling, like that way. And that's how I act. And that's how your teammates and your coaches perceive you. And Jalen is the definition of that. My favorite quote, he's the definition of, of taking coaching and addressing like, man, all right, coach doesn't think I can put the ball on the deck. It means be smarter. If they start coming, digging, and raking, I got to pick it up. It doesn't mean coach thinks don't dribble, and that's what I think of when I think of Jalen Moore going this way.